Distinguished colleagues, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues, I rise to move the debate on the need to establish a federal polytechnic in Koko, Delta State. Mr. Speaker, first of all, before I go ahead, let me commend and encourage the spirit behind the 8th Assembly. For all the years that I've been in this Parliament, since 2007, I have never experienced a particular house that has encouraged the establishment of higher institutions, tertiary institutions in various parts of the country. I've equally observed with joy that all the universities being established or all the tertiary institutions being established in this country are actually very useful. And as such, I want to call on my colleagues to look at the need and allow this bill to pass the second reading on the establishment of a polytechnic in Koko. Mr. Speaker, Koko is in Delta State and occupies a very prominent place in Delta State and the country. It is equally known, Mr. Speaker, I'll go into a little history, for very negative things, most especially the dumping of the toxic waste a couple of years ago. And also, Mr. Speaker, the Koko happens to be an headquarter of a local government that is so rich in oil and gas. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I want to plead that Koko should not also be seen, or always be seen, as a place where we can always dump and extract the good things. Koko can also accommodate the federal presence in form of a tertiary institution. Mr. Speaker, this is a very straightforward and simple legislation for the betterment of Nigerians. And before I go into some of the functions of this polytechnic, which is also known to members of this Parliament, I want to say that when you close the door, when you close the doors to education, you open more doors to prison. And then when you open the doors to education, you close more doors to prison. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage this House to continue to support the establishment of tertiary institutions across the nations, as also private investors are equally doing, and they can all go together. Mr. Speaker, like I said, it's very straightforward. It is just to establish a polytechnic and establish such campuses, departments, institute of schools, extramural departments, and other teaching and research units within the polytechnic as may, from time to time, seem necessary or desirable, subject to approval of the National Board for Technical Education and offices to make appointments thereto, provide for residence, discipline, and welfare of members of the polytechnic, and so many others, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, like I said, this is a straightforward legislation. I want to plead with my colleague that we should allow this bill to go through the second reading so that it can be dealt with at the committee level. Mr. Speaker, I so submit and I plead with my honorable colleagues. Thank you.